Paul.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to VidaneTV. We're back here at VidaneTV because it is NEP Super Truck Night in America and even parts of Canada. Showtime. Paul Strickland Jr. up here, well, down here in a production trailer in any sense, renting a production trailer here because, well, I'm a couple exits up from Dominion Raceway doing the NX US Legends Tour race up there. So we got some interesting dynamic here tonight to kind of mess around with the racing here tonight, but we got a lot of action. We got 60 laps on the docket here, and we're gonna kick this season off with a bang. Ron up in the booth here with me as well. Aaron, it's been a long off season. We saw some great duels last week, and we have some fantastic racing getting ready to kick off with these super trucks.
Oh yeah, well, after last week's duels, this is going to be a thrilling one, and we're going racing under the lights here. First official race for the Super Trucks as within the series. Last week we had Corey Casagrande and Ryan Libby winning those dual races, and we got a full field of competitors. I think total about 36 competitors getting ready to go here. We're going to be seeing if anyone can become a repeat winner here at Daytona. We'll have more on that later, but I think we'll get to the starting lineup here momentarily. We did say Corey Casagrande won the first duel, but it's actually Ryan Messer that will line up front because he won the pole, was the fast qualifier, and as you know, with Daytona, the front row gets locked in those starting positions. Ryan Libby backed up his front row starting spot with a duel victory last week. And Paul, I'll let you introduce my counterpart for this evening as well.
Indeed, got ourselves one of my good buddies, a good friend of mine, a good friend of all these sim racers from Canada, Ashton Reiki jumping on in. He's worked with me a handful of times here at VidaneTV and getting ready to kick things off. It's getting cold up there in Canada. All the race cars are going to bed in the garage, so we're going to do some iRacing. And Ashton, I appreciate you coming out here tonight, man.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure being here with you guys, and I appreciate the invite. Yeah. Down here, all the race cars are put away. It's too cold to be doing any of that now. So we jump over into the booth with you guys and enjoy the off-season, the not-so off-season on the iRacing. And I can't wait to announce more with you guys.
Absolutely. And we have a stacked card here at VidaneTV for the winter season. Lots of leagues coming back to kick things off with a bang. The real racing is getting wrapped up, but man, oh man, are we getting ready to do some sim racing here in the iRacing world, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So I'm going to get back down here to the production trailer, push some buttons, and I'm going to leave the call up to you guys.
Yeah, let's go through that starting lineup here quickly once again. Corey Casagrande, John Peters. Row number 3, we got Zane Farrell and Jeffrey Bradway. We're not going to be able to get through this whole starting lineup because the base truck, I think he's ready to go down pit road here momentarily. Here he comes. So we're going to line them up. We'll introduce you to some of these drivers. There's some new faces this season, but Ashton, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of my first ones, but we're under the green flag already. We have started this race in a big jump to the start for Ryan Messer right off the bat. It's going to be some new names for me, Aaron, but I'm going to get through this one with you, and as the season goes, I'll get familiar. But one of the guys I am familiar with is the guy that started on the pole, Ryan Messer, also from New Brunswick, not far from me here. But these guys are going to be too wide. This track is big, it's fast, and drafting matters a lot. So we talked about the qualifying and the duels from last week. Those are kind of out the window because, as you can see, there's already cars shuffling around, moving down to the bottom, moving to the top, trying to find their teammates. It's early on, but you got to make your moves just as early as you do just late.
Yeah, for sure. And we saw a lot of it in just watching practice beforehand, before we went live. And some drivers working to push each other to the front. And yeah, there's definitely going to be some teamwork. I know it goes out the window once we're done, but Ryan Libby's going to lead the first lap as we now ride with Ryan Messer in the number 1. He's got a pretty unique pit board down pit road that we saw during practice that will point out when they do make pit stops. They're going to have to make a couple pit stops most likely. They do have 2 extra sets of tires, no fast repairs permitted. So if there is a big one, you're pretty much done here. So that's one of the keys to victory for sure. The max you can go is about 28 green flag laps on fuel. So it's a 60-lap race. Probably not going to be able to stretch it, but we'll see if anyone decides to play that game. We saw that happen in one of the duels last week, and we ended up having a green-white checker finish, and some ran out of fuel. So I'm sure with now points on the line, trying to get your season started off on the right foot, I don't think we're going to see too many chances getting made.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's so early on in the season. You can look at it both ways there, and you can say, well, it's so early, I have time to catch up. But you can look at it as it's so early, I need to get as many points as I can, because as the season goes, getting those points might be a little more difficult. And so you can play both ends of the spectrum. Now, I'm not good at math, but 60 laps, and I think you said something in the 20s for pit stops for the amount of laps they can go. To see somebody stretch it that far, I feel like it would have to be somebody that's back in the pack in the middle of a draft, that's able to go, a quarter or half throttle for all these laps. And if they end up out front towards the end or midway through the race, that's when you kind of start thinking about the strategies. So you guys see pop up there, it's Colby Burkholder with the new Nitro Design Fast Laps. So you're going to see that. That's something that we got going on this year as the race goes. Nitro Design's great friends of ours, putting up some fast laps now.
Yeah, and that Nitro Designs belongs to Evan Boyer, who's a regular in our series year after year, and quite a talented racer himself. Came so close to winning the Granite State Pro Stock Series championship this season. And he's one of those he's probably riding kind of mid-pack right now, but you'll see him in contention by the time the race is coming towards a close. So right now, though, we see Ryan Libby back up front as there's the aforementioned Evan Boyer kind of riding there in the middle of the pack in that 56 machine. And some neat graphics. I know Paul Strickland Jr. has been working on here, so some cool things here. We're going to have some even neater things here in a couple weeks when we go to our next event. When Paul's not renting his production trailer. But back up front, the Ryans, they are drafting together like we've seen before. We saw them pretty close together last year, had a couple 1-2 finishes, Ryan Libby and Ryan Messer. Messer came close to his first NEP title. I know he's won some other iRacing titles before, and Messer's going to be one to watch. Right on his tail is John Peters, the 3-time champ of the NEP series. And that's we were talking about strategy when it comes to racing for points, and you do have to kind of keep points in the back of your mind right from the get-go, because drivers like John Peters or former champions Kenny Kibbe and last year's champion Stephen Daddio, once they hit their stride, they were on. They just had the momentum going their way, and it's hard to beat that.
And that's the key thing, right? Is points are so important no matter what the time of the season might be. It really is. You got to play in your mind when you want to take the risks and when the risks are worth it. And I mean, any kind of plate racing on a big track like this, there is going to always be some risks involved. Like you said earlier, the big one could end your night, and you don't want to end it too early. You want to at least be up there at the end of the race, at the end of those 60 laps. You want to have a chance. Even if it's for a third place points is better than being in the trailer with a wrecked truck.
Yeah, that's for sure. As we see Mike Hopkins riding the outside there in the number 78, he's looking to have a solid start to the season. He had some ups and downs last season in that ride, and he's currently following Jeffrey Bradway, now a sophomore in the series. Had a great run in the duel last week, in his duel race last week. They're kind of stuck on the outside, though. You don't really have much of a train going right now. There you see, I think that's Kenny Kibbe that kind of moved to the top side, and he's going to be one to watch, as it kind of seems like for the most part some of them have settled in for the time being. Kind of not a surprise when it comes to these kinds of drafting races and trying to stay out of trouble. I don't want to jinx it, but last year we did not have the big one until they came out of turn 4 to take the checkered flag. So, or actually not really even out of turn 4, but into the tri-oval. So we never really, I don't think we had a single yellow last season's race. So right now everyone's kind of behaving and keeping it all together. And we do see some hopping up and down there, including Ryan Salvatore and his home racetrack. But yeah, they're all kind of keeping their noses clean at the moment.
Well, now, Aaron, I'm not gonna tell anybody, but if they go back and watch this and there's a big one in the next 5 laps, you know they're all gonna be looking at you, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of movement here, so you beat me to it. They're kind of getting a little spread out. They're kind of keeping their P's and Q's together. But as I was saying that, and as you were talking about the guys jumping up to the top, there is a lot of movement, even though there's room there. They're not forcing their way into a hole, or making a move that seems risky, but they do seem to be getting a little spread out. You've got your front pack there of, I'm going to say, 10, 15 cars or trucks. I said cars, so I guess I got to put something in the jar. Paul let me know about that before the race, so we're going to be up to a lot of money by the end of this, but they're getting a little spread out and keep minding their P's and Q's, but there's still some guys, like you said, that you got to watch that are moving to the top side that might be trying to get that outside lane moving. Ryan Messer's kind of comfortably out in front. Nobody's really challenged him since lap 3 when he took the lead back.
Yeah, and you were talking about that outside line. Right now we got the last 2 champions of the NEP series, Kenny Kibbe from Michigan, Stephen Dadio from Connecticut, kind of hooking up now on that outside, and it seems to be working. They're working together. They were pretty much the 2 challengers for the title last season. There's John Peters. He tried to go high and get in front of Kibbe there, but it didn't quite work out. And now he might get stuck here in the middle and fall back potentially. So we'll have to see what happens here to the 09 machine. And right now, I think it actually kind of held up that outside line just for a moment. We see Regan Parent in the 17. He's been a championship contender the last couple of years. Dale Glessner in the 10. How about that camera angle right there? Kind of going right over you. As now we're going to kind of go 3 wide for a little bit. Peter's kind of holding his own there in the middle. That has to show how good of a handling truck you've got.
Yeah, and the side draft. It just goes to show that the side draft is going to be a factor here. Being stuck in the middle there, it's usually an eerie feeling, and I'm shocked that we're doing it only 10 laps in. I didn't expect this until after the first round of pit stops, but very well done. He was able to find a hold of the top side, go back to the 2 wide, and survive what could have been a lot worse. He could have dropped all the way back to the back of this pack. He was able to, like I said, find a hole, and now he's kind of in a nice spot there this early in the race. You're not looking at pit stops yet, so it's okay to be stuck on the top side, and you could essentially save some tires being up on the higher side.
Yeah, and John Peters, I guess that goes to show having the experience that John Peters has driving for 229 Autosport, and they've all switched to Toyotas this season, as you can see. And Peters, we'll be talking to him, I'm sure, throughout the season, and he'll get to talk about the GNG's gift program that he and his family do. So we'll talk about that. We got a driver down pit road already, it looks like. Jeffrey Brown, kind of surprising here. Not sure what this strategy is regarding. Jeff is one of those drivers that you don't always see up front, but Daytona, Talladega, those places can be a wild card. But pitting on his own, that's might leave you hung out to dry for a bit. We'll have to see what happens there as the field continues 2 wide down the backstretch.
Yeah, he seemed to be out on his own already. The pack was catching him, so I'm not sure if the pull down pit road was simply just a courtesy move. I'll go down pit road, I'll get my fuel, and I hopefully have a caution to get him back on the lead lap here if he ends up going down a lap. I don't want to say it's a strategy move, but we could see him up at the front. This could change the mindset for some of these drivers and kind of shuffle things around, because now he could technically do it in 1 stop, technically 2 because he's on pit road now, but he could technically go the rest of the way with only 1 more stop.
Yeah, for sure. And I have a feeling, though, I mean, we're going to see where he kind of places out here. it's definitely an interesting strategy, and there's the field coming bearing down. So, but you know, if we get a yellow and he's the only one a lap down, he's back on the lead lap. So as long as he's not the cause for the yellow. So
yes. Did you happen to catch the speed difference from the pack to what he was doing? Now I know he was coming down the backstretch alone, but he was only doing 160, I think it was. And the guys in the pack are up almost 190, so a 30-mile-per-hour difference on a pack leading down like that to you. When you look up in your mirror and you blink, suddenly they're on your tail tank, and you're trying to get the heck out of the way.
Yeah, definitely. And Ryan Messer, though, still definitely not in the way, as we see Jeff Brown kind of still trying to stay on the lead lap here. We'll see if he can blend in there. Ryan Messer out front, Steve Daddio on the outside. Both of them had their share of wins last season and looking to go for some more. Ryan Libby's one of those drivers. He tends to be the hard luck driver the last couple seasons. Has a front-running truck. Well, past season's a car. I don't know how the swear jar thing works on that. But Libby, now Brown moves out of the way, as you can see. And he'll try to blend in, hopefully. But yeah, when you have the field coming down on you, definitely a very courtesy move right there. Colby Burkholder, we haven't really seen his truck yet, but he has recorded the fastest lap on multiple occasions, the Nitro Designs fastest lap. And he continues to rattle off some pretty quick laps there in the number 29 machine. A regular Jennerstown Speedway in Pennsylvania. He's kind of just riding there single file, but definitely showing some speed. If he can get up into that front pack when it's go time, he could be one to look for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just looking up at the ticker there as it went by, and I was looking for him in the top 10 and realized he's sitting 20th. So he's not a front pack truck right now, but he's setting off these fast laps. So in my mind, if I'm any of these other drivers and I see that and my spotter's telling me, hey, this guy's setting off fast laps, I want to find his bumper. I want him to find my back bumper late in the race. If he can push me to the front, that's a fast truck. So he's got a real good chance if he can strategize his way to the front. And on that note, I mean, Daddio takes the lead from Messer. I don't know. Again, this could be a fuel swap. This could just be a, hey, I've led enough laps. It's time for you to take over for one or two.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Daddio drives for Four Wide Weaponry. Messer drives for, I think, his own team. But but yeah, they might have been, these guys are in their rooms kind of talking to each other and everything, kind of talking strategy probably. And right now, though, it's Stephen Daddio out front, Ryan Messer in second, Ryan Libby in third. And the thing that about Daytona is you always have some kind of parity, a lot more than some of these other tracks. A cool stat that Arsal gave to us before the races. There's been 12 total races at Daytona, including officials, duels, all-star race, preseason, and official races. I mean, and there's been 0 repeat winners. So among the drivers that have won, though, last season John Peters was a winner. Regan Parent is a former Daytona winner. So we do have some former winners in the field. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if we can continue that whole streak of non-repeat winners. And that just goes to show, once again, what Daytona can do, as pretty much we got first to last, with the exception of Jeff Brown, who decided to do a little bit of strategy there. Pretty much I think there's a few trucks that have dropped out, maybe with connection issues or something of that sort. But pretty much from first to last on the lead lap, they're all pretty much in the hunt still.
Yeah, absolutely. And just by quick count earlier, when you mentioned the 12 cars, I think there was 9 drivers in this race here that have won at Daytona. So there's 9 chances at a repeat, and we've got 28, 29, 32 cars. You know what I mean? Or trucks, again, sorry. And so the odds of a new winner again and a non-repeat are much better than having a repeat winner. But in saying that, the guys up front have won here before and have the strategy and have done it and might not have the nerves as the guy that might get his first Daytona win. But again, this track is so unpredictable that you never know who can get caught up in what. And like you said, the last time it was coming out of 4 on that little stretch before the line, that everything can go sideways. No pun intended. But when one goes sideways, it's just calamity.
Yeah, and we actually saw that in the duel last week. There was, I'm trying to remember which driver it was now at this point. I've kind of forgotten, but there was a driver that kind of got a little squirrely, went into the outside wall, tried to save it. We thought they were going to save it, and then all of a sudden, one mishap leads to further mishaps, and we had a yellow flag come out because of a multi-truck wreck. So, so it's one of those things where things happen fast here. It's right there, Dale Glessner switching lanes there just abruptly, and I mean, if you don't have the space there and you kind of don't judge that the right way, that could have been a multi-car wreck right there, multi-truck wreck. They might look like cars at that point if those trucks are mangled enough.
Right, they'll be shortened enough they'll look like cars.
Yeah, but right now everyone's definitely keeping it clean though, doing a great job. Glessner saw an opening and he took it. So a great job by him, kind of following Libby, Messer, and Peters. The outside line doing something now as Kibbe pushes Daddio to the lead. So a lot of front runners are the ones that we usually expect to see up there. Regan Parent in the 17, like we said, a former winner. And now it looks like we're going to have some trucks heading down pit road.
I was gonna mention it. I was gonna say we were getting close to that opening, but I thought I was just doing the math quickly here while you were talking, and I still had 5 laps to the good for some of these trucks. Now, this again, we're coming down to strategy, right? 38 to go. If you're trying to do this in 2 stops, you really want to pit at the right time, and you see those times up on the right-hand side of your screen. Something Paul has been working hard on is adding some stuff to this for the viewers, for us to be able to give you guys the opportunity to really see what's going on in these drivers. Ryan Libby, a 17-second stop. John Peters, a 20-second stop. They're all in the same area, which is good, and they're all going to be able to reconnect as they come off as another big group of trucks coming off the track, diving down to the apron into pit road. They're wrecking onto pit road. I don't know if that'll bring out a yellow because they're kind of out of the way, but it's certainly collecting some guys, and they're going to have some damage repair to work on.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Corey Casagrande, winner of last week's duel. That he's going to have some catching up to do now. Probably going to lose some ground. As we see a handful of trucks have stayed on the lead lap. There's Johnny Miller in number 6, kind of leading the way. He's right up against that yellow line. I have a feeling they might be coming in here momentarily, but Evan Boyer in the Nitro Designs 56, as well as Dan Winter in the 81. It's a trio of main drivers, if I remember correctly, kind of leading the way right now, and looks like they're going to come down pit road, and perhaps the remainder of the field. You kind of have no choice at this point. If you stay out, you're kind of all alone out there, and you're going to lose some ground. So Johnny Miller, Evan Boyer, all of them coming down pit road. We missed it when Ryan Messer was down pit road, but he's got a Dura the Explorer on the pit board, and so we'll have to check that out next time. There we see Messer and the like. Kind of everyone kind of sorting things out here. The front, these 4 are gonna draft on by Kibbe and Daddio, who pitted on the next lap. Daddio is gonna fall on the line. Kibbe's probably gonna do the same exact thing here, but things gonna spread out a little bit for the time being with green flag pit stops.
Yeah, and there's still guys coming down pit road. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on where Brown is ending up here. If he gets one of his lap backs, I believe he's 2 down. But if he was able to drive out and around the leaders to maybe get one of his he's back on pit road, and the yellow is out. Our first yellow of the season, Aaron. It's finally here, and I don't know what it was for, but the yellow flag is out.
Well, I know for sure Paul is going to let us know what it is here with the U-House Racing Designs replay. YRD Designs coming back to sponsor once again. and we'll have to see what went on here as we see Jared Adams currently on pit road in the number 43.
Yeah, that was part of the replay. I think there was maybe some contact with the 43. I know Paul's scrambling on his laptop in the rented truck trying to figure it out. It's not his usual control, so we got to give him a few extra minutes to work through it. But I know he's working really hard. It's really cool that he can do this mobile and have us come up and join him, and anything that Paul Strickland and VidaneTV do for us. It's always a blast to come out and have fun with you guys.
Yeah, and glad you could join us this time. I like announcing, but I don't like kind of saying everything all by myself. So it's definitely much appreciated. As we were riding there with a rookie in the NEP series there from momentarily, Eric Kern. Things sorting themselves out, I think. I don't know what Dan Winter's doing there in the 81.
Well, the maintenance guy called him and asked if he could help with some grass maintenance.
Yeah, I don't see it. He's got Window World on the sides, so I don't really see any windows that need installed or fixed. But I think he's going to get back into line here in a moment, and we'll get things sorted out to go back racing here in a couple laps. But it looks like Evan Boyer is going to restart out front when we do go back to green. They got a little lucky there. I think they were still kind of blending back in from their pit stops at the moment the yellow flag came out, so they actually had track position over the leaders or the original the drivers that pitted previous couple laps. I think we might have a handful of trucks that did decide to come back down pit road. I saw John Miller was kind of riding the apron. I don't know if he's got an idea for later on. He was one of the last to come in.
Well, I'm looking with 34 to go. By the time we go green, if guys are shutting their trucks off and trying to make it, some of these guys might have a full tank. There we see the pit board. Dora the Explorer. I'm going to have to ask, or you are going to have to ask, Ryan Messer what the story is behind Dora the Explorer on his pit board.
Yeah, and you said that it might be his pit board in real life, and I wish I would have ended up seeing that when I was at Riverside for the IWK 250 back in July. But actually, we got Ryan Messer here with us right now. And Ryan, kind of explain to us that pit board that you've got there.
Oh, the signboard, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, one of the cars we got that we run, like the real race cars, kind of picked up that nickname. So the paint scheme on the truck for this year is of that car. So we wanted to... Brent helped me do it. Brent and Brandon Newhouse, they kind of helped me put the paint scheme together. We thought we'd tie that in a little bit. So just something neat. Nobody else will have the same pit sign as that, I don't think. So
yeah, I imagine.
So is the truck boots or the map? What are we calling the truck?
I don't know. Never really thought of that. Should be the exact same name, I guess.
No, well, we can't name it a car. We're not allowed to use the word car on the stream. We've got a swear jar every time we say car.
Yeah, for sure. Gonna have to come up with something there. I think.
Awesome, great job, Ryan. You're up at the front there. You kind of got caught with the pit stops and the yellow coming out at the wrong time, but it looks like you got a strong truck to make it up to the front again.
Yeah, for sure. Got a good truck. Just realized when I pitted I had a little bit of damage, so I wanted to come back in and top off and get that fixed. So hopefully we can carefully get back up to the front and see how it goes.
Awesome. Great job, and we'll hopefully be talking to you at the end of the race.
I hope so too.
So that was Ryan Messer. Again, he's piloting the one truck, sponsored by Waterfront Pub Eatery, CSN, Dana's Collision Center. Of course, he's got other sponsors on board also, and Dora the Explorer. I'm going to call the truck Boots. I think it's just easier.
You're more knowledgeable about that show than me, so I'm familiar with Dora. I'm familiar with the map, and that's pretty much it. So I'm a little
a monkey.
Okay, gotcha. It'll be interesting because we also have another kind of kids kind of scheme that's within the field, and we haven't really talked about him much today. But Joey Dwyron, who's making his NEP debut, has the Bluey truck. So we'll see that here at some point in the race. If he's still in the show, there he is. There's the bluey truck and the number 73.
Now,
So
see, now you've lost me. I don't even know what that cartoon is.
yeah, that it's also after my time, but
Okay.
I know some folks that have kids that that watch that show. But yeah, I don't really know much about it either. I think he says "Oh biscuits" because that's on the rear of the truck.
Okay.
But Joey Dwyron actually coming off a pretty big victory. I think it was Oxford Plains Speedway this past weekend. So a few drivers in the NEP field still doing some real racing. I know up there in the Maritimes of Canada, it's getting too cold to do that. I think I've seen a few posts that a couple tracks had their finales here in recent weeks, but it's pretty much done. But yeah, a handful of tracks, a handful of competitors still kind of doing their thing. We have, I think, Keith Lord in the 17 that's in the field. We're going back to green. We'll talk about that momentarily. But Evan Boyer and Johnny Miller are going to lead the field back to green. Dan Winters right there. We'll see what they can do now at the front of the field and see if they can stay out front or if some of these other drivers that were out front before the first round of pit stops can get back up there.
Yeah, my curiosity is now, is this a one-stop race, or are some guys going to make it to the end? 32 laps. We heard Messer say he went down pit road, topped it off. So did a bunch of other trucks. He has a chance. I just don't know if they can still make it on fuel. Now, he's stuck back in the field a little bit. So there's no air on the nose. He's drafting. He's able to go quarter throttle. It's really going to be interesting to see the end of the race. That caution kind of fell right at that strategy moment where you can either pit that extra time and work your way back up there slowly, like Ryan said, or you can just stay out, get to the front, and know you have another pit to go. But now I'm going to say that there's multiple strategies in the field, and it's going to make this race coming down to the end with coming to 30 to go is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, and the thing about Daytona is its tires aren't really a big factor. I mean, you can pretty much run the same tires if you wanted to, practically the whole race. They are given 2 extra sets of tires, but we're not really expecting anyone to be pitting for more than 2 tires on a pit stop. So that's not really a concern. They're not going to really be worn out too much. So they can kind of go all out here if they want to, except for some of them that, like we said, might be trying to stretch it that didn't come in during that last yellow. But right now we got Brent Roy out front. There's someone I know you're familiar with, and he actually he had a pretty good run in his duel last week, but he had to take a end of line and had to start back for today's truck race. And here he is at the front. That's the thing about Daytona as well.
Yeah, just that pre-race tech kind of got him. He was a little light on the scales. Fixed that. Had to start at the back. The car chief was suspended. He was saved. Thankfully, everybody else took the blame, and he got to drive the truck today. But nonetheless, he had to start at the back. On a big track like this, I don't think he was too concerned. So he found his way back up to the front after the pit stops and the yellow. But he still doesn't have the Nitro Design fastest lap as that there. We have a new fast lap.
And I completely missed that on the screen, so you're going to tell me who it was.
I missed the name. I just saw the purple pop up. So I know we have a new fast lap. We'll find out who it is, and we'll let you guys know. But again, Nitro Design's fast lap, and fresh tires, full tank of gas, and we're making some moves now. A little bit more movement on this start than I expected. When they came out of the Conway Customs restart zone, I saw a couple guys kind of finding their way before the line, even just trying to get themselves back behind a teammate or in front of a teammate to start the strategy to get back to the front.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different drivers mixing it up right now. Brandon Uhouse in the number 3, and a fellow Pennsylvanian, Dale Glessner, on the outside now. And they're kind of using that outside line. It's really coming in pretty well right now with a lot of trucks in that line. There's Ryan Libby and Kenny Kibbe, and in the 46 and the 4 on the outside line. And we've said it time and time again in past seasons, and you'll get used to this as well, but Kibby and Libby, you can't really separate them. Their names rhyme, and for somehow they end up together on the racetrack. Almost any race that we're calling them. So here they are again on the outside line right there. Zane Farrell in the 14. Haven't said much about him, but he actually pushed Corey Casagrande to the victory in the duel last week in that number 14 machine. So yeah, a lot of drivers. I mean, you can't really count out any of these drivers right now.
No, and I went to our notes, Aaron, after you said the Kibby and Libby, because Paul was explaining to me earlier that they seem to like to run side by side, and I thought, you know what, are they part of the same racing team? So I opened up our notes here, and from what I gather, Libby is on all the teams, because my notes say he put down whoever is winning. So that answers that question. Libby is teammates with everybody.
Wow, that's one way to do it, especially here at Daytona. Yeah,
you need more friends than you need enemies at Daytona. We got another fast lap. It is Cody LeBlanc. So Cody LeBlanc with the Nitro Design fast lap. He took that away. I believe he was the previous fast lap. Also, now that I saw that pop up, I believe that was the name. So another fast lap from a guy back in the field again. I think he's in the 1920th area. But no air on the front of that truck, so he's making the fast laps. Now he just needs to do that up at the front.
Yeah, the New Hampshire driver driving for the Icon team, and Cody Lestonks LeBlanc is in the number 7 NH, and we always kind of have to get that little sorted out too, because we usually have about 3 number 7s in the field between Corey Casagrande, Kyle Casagrande, if I can say that right too, Kyle Casagrande and Cody LeBlanc. Cody's a veteran of the mini stock racing, also did some ACT Tour racing in the past. So he's no slouch on the real racetrack either, and he'll be getting his footing as long as he stays kind of within striking distance here. Another one of those drivers that you might want pushing you when it comes to crunch time towards the end of this one, as we do only have 25 laps to go. We're past halfway.
We are past halfway, and a lot of movement from the truck up front, and Brett Roy in the 26 coming down that back straightaway. I don't know if his truck just doesn't like the extreme push, or if he's just trying to get some more air. But there was a lot of movement down that backstretch, and late in the race, that's not going to do. The guy's going to push you right out of the way if that's the case. But a lot of cars on the trucks on the top side. Making more of a train. We saw that kind of fall apart earlier when we were talking about that top side, and now they seem to be taking more of the lead than anything.
Yeah, and we'll see if that continues to happen. But what I think is going to happen when we get probably under 10 laps to go is we're going to not just see the outside, not just going to see the inside, we're going to see a middle line coming through. We're going to see some 3-wide racing probably before this is done. So we saw it in the duels last week. We've seen it at Daytona last year, even though Daytona last year was the Grand National cars instead of or Xfinity cars. Sorry, I'm kind of being old school here, but instead of the trucks. But right now, we're staying 2 wide. There's a driver that we haven't said much about, Jason Ricker, in the number 9. You can usually find him. I don't know if maybe he's the one that caught Brent Roy earlier, but you can find Jason Ricker usually in the tech shed at the Pro All-Star Series races these last couple seasons. So Jason doing a good job in the top 5. We've seen him run towards the front at Daytona many times. I think we're still waiting for him to kind of break through for a first NEP victory. We'll see if he can do that today.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's so many guys that could right now. I see the ticker going down across the bottom, and a lot of the names that we were talking about early on in the race are starting to make their way back to the front. Like you said earlier, that caution came out and kind of got those guys stuck back in, still in the top 10, but kind of further back in the 8th, 9th, 10th position. But they're working their way back up. Nothing against Uhouse, Glessner, Roy, Libby, Bollier, all up front, all very fast trucks.
Yeah, definitely, and someone like Uhouse doing a good job there out front. He kind of hung back in his duel last week, and then still got involved in a mishap, which is one of those things where you can hang back all you want, but we talked about it earlier. Things can happen fast here, and you might still get mixed up in things. So right now we're 2x2x2x2x2. I could probably say that for quite a bit. But Brent Roy and Brandon Newhouse still holding their own up front right now. Both of them would love to start the season off with a huge victory, but we've got drivers that have won. If you combine all their victories, it'll add up quite a bit between Evan Boyer, John Peters, Kenny Kibbe, a whole bunch of them. And right now, it's hard to sort out who's going to have anything right here. It kind of looks like just your, I would say down here in where I am in North Carolina, your I-77 traffic, except it's actually moving. But 2 lanes where you can't really get anywhere because everyone's just pushing each other right now.
Yeah, and I was just kind of looking. I was scrolling through our notes and through the chat rooms here. It looks like a lot of guys are starting to make that strategy move to find a teammate. You're seeing a lot of guys going to the top, going to the bottom, or 2 guys go down. It's almost like somebody's leaving a gap. So I think with 20 to go, although that's a long time and a long way around this racetrack, I think it's getting to the point now that strategy is becoming a factor. Whether there's going to be another pit stop or not is still up in the air. By the math, there should be another one, and that could be part of the strategy is that they're trying to become a group before they pit so that when they do pit, they end up coming out all together again, as long as there's no calamity on pit road like we had the last time.
Well, that has to be a little bit of a concern, though, for Brent Roy and Brandon Newhouse being up front on this front row for quite a few laps now, is that whole fuel mileage. When you kind of have all that clean air, like all the way out front, and drivers are just pushing you, that could, I don't know, that might not work out too well, but we'll have to see what happens as we ride with Brandon Newhouse at the moment. It is YRD Designs number 3. Cool paint scheme on that truck this year. Last year kind of had the old Dale Jr. Oreo scheme to it, but he's kind of got his own pretty neat scheme. Brandon does a lot of the different schemes, hence the YRD Designs. Does a lot of these racers' schemes, and so a lot of great designers up front. Evan Boyer, we were talking about Nitro Designs before, and yeah, like that's pretty cool too. They do hero cards and different things like that as well that he does. So a lot of cool stuff within the racing industry. I know Brent Roy does a lot for racing up there in New Brunswick, and yeah, a lot going on right now among these racers on and off the iRacing season.
Yeah, it's the battle of the designs up front right now, and a bunch of guys diving down. There we go. There answers my question. With 18 to go, a bunch of trucks from the back diving down to pit road, starting to make that last strategy push. A lot of names that are generally front contenders in the NEP series, and others. A little bit of contact there from the 78. I don't know if he realized there was a truck below him, but he's going to have to back up into his pit stall. That's going to lose some time a little bit for that truck. But again, a big group of trucks pitting at the same time. Generally, that should be a strategy play. It's going to be interesting to see this time around. Now that they've started the pit stops, who will be next to pit road?
Yeah, and Hopkins isn't going to probably be happy about that. Ended up overshooting his pit stall there. And they were hugging the yellow line there, and but nobody looks like elected to come in. Yeah, but yeah, Hopkins. There was a friendly, I guess you could say friendly, little debate going on in the Discord beforehand on who might lose their cool first, and there was a poll, and Hopkins was the big winner of that one. So he might have lost his cool a little bit there on pit road, but I'm sure he'll recover.
I believe he was the winner and the second place finisher in that poll.
Yes, I think he also, Mike Hopkins, finished second, if I remember.
Right. So I think we know where the odds are going with that one. But yeah, a little bit of separation up front. Aaron, the 3 kind of fell back from the 10. I'm not sure exactly what. I was just going to say, I think Brent Roy is setting up for a pit stop as he dropped back a little bit, staying on the bottom. So another big group of trucks coming to pit road. A little bit of calamity. I was about to say no calamity going into pit road, but the truck in the back locked it up and just slid and bounced off the wall. I don't think any major harm is going to come from that. The 27 of Brown is sideways at the back. He's having a tough race.
Yeah, and I think that was Cody LeBlanc that hit the wall, so that's gonna might take him out of contention. But we'll see. I mean, it really seems like everyone decided that they're not going to play it safe, or they are going to play it safe, and it seems like everyone's not going to gamble. Back up front, though, this group has not pitted. Kenny Kibbe, Ryan Libby together once again in the 4 and the 46, and right now Stephen Daddio, Dale Glessner. Actually, it looks like Glessner's getting ready to come in, or he already did come in. I'm getting these guys mixed up here for a moment. But right now, Kenny Kibbe and Ryan Libby up front. I think that is Mike Hopkins kind of tucked in behind them, albeit a lap down, but he could get back on the lead lap here once we get back going. I'm still learning some of these new paint schemes and stuff. We've only seen some of them had them going when we did a preseason race about a month ago, and we saw them just briefly at the duels last week. But those were short races. Kind of hard to get familiar with all of them, and I know this is your first time seeing most of them.
Yeah, other than Ryan Messer's, because it's identical to his late model that he runs here. That's about the only one that I know of. Brent Roy running the Flow Racing paint scheme. That one there I've seen in the past. We almost need one of those NASCAR spotter charts.
Yeah.
Before the race, so that we can know who is who from the top camera. But nonetheless, it's race number 1. We'll figure it out. I'm thinking that if these guys are going to push the limits, they're either doing one of two things. They're waiting for a yellow or hoping for a yellow, or they think they can make it all the way, and it's going to trap some guys either a lap down or far enough back that they could put them a lap down. So really interesting as they make me a liar and they decide to come to pit road.
Yeah, very interesting right there for sure. But yeah, it looks like the rest of the takers do come down pit road. So any kind of strategy out the window. We'll see if this strategy actually works out better or worse when they come back onto the track and blend in. Kenny Kibbe, Ryan Libby, Eric Kern, a few of those drivers that did come down pit road. And yeah, the regarding the spotter chart, I don't know, maybe we should put with Keith Lord to work with the Lord Spotting Services number 17 and create a spotter chart, since he's so used to spotting as it is. And I think he's actually heading out tomorrow to do some spotting job. I can't remember where he's headed. I don't know if he's headed to Kern County Raceway Park. I know that's where one of our occasional drivers, Spencer Davis, is racing a ARCA West car. That's why he's not here tonight. So we'll see what maybe Keith can do that on one of his off weeks once the racing season ends.
I mean, if he's not needed at the track till tomorrow, he's got what, 6 hours to put something together for us?
It might be too late for us now. I think he's got his hands full. But right now, there you see this pack of trucks is actually getting by a couple of these trucks that are coming back onto the racetrack. There we saw Stephen Daddio and Scott McDonald. There's Kibbe and Libby. McDonald's one of those that we want to watch in that 44. Now, he's not always a contender for the win, but here in these restrictor plate tracks, he can be a wild card. He has 4 consecutive top 5 finishes on super speedways in these last 2 seasons between Daytona and Talladega. So the 44, Scott McDonald, watch out for him. He's now right there in that front draft after that round of pit stops. We got about 10 trucks that are maybe a little bit more that are right there in the hunt for the time being.
Yeah, both those strategies really worked out. Brent Roy was part of the pack that first pitted and kind of started the pitting cycle, I believe. And that same group has now come back around with Ryan Messer and the guys that just recently went down pit road. So both strategies kind of seem to work. I think they're both going to be fine on fuel, as we talked about earlier. Tire's not a major factor here. So as long as they found their partners and the slower lap traffic can stay kind of down out of the way, as you see there, this is going to end up being a 3 wide, 2 wide race to the finish.
Yeah, for sure. And right now we have Yeah, it's continuing 2 wide right now, but we are about to be. Actually, we are now inside 10 laps to go. So we'll see if that whole prediction of going 3 wide here shortly comes true. And right now, that those cars, the trucks, we're gonna still get used to that here. But those trucks that were behind that front about 12 are actually catching back up to that front pack. That's the cool thing here about Daytona as well. We have a new fastest lap, Brian Ship in the 48, getting the new Nitro Designs fastest lap there in his ride, the Pennsylvania late model driver. So cool to see that. We'll see if he can continue that momentum. I think he's a little further back in the field, but once again, anything can happen here at Daytona, as we see Ryan Messer kind of getting. Well, he's holding his own. I was about to say he's getting kind of almost freight trained on the outside there, but he's trying to keep it together.
He did get shuffled back. Oh, the 6 a little sideways there. I don't know if he had to check up and just messed up the air on the front of that truck, but it shot him hard left really quickly. And Brian Ship again putting up another Nitro Design fast lap. So the trucks further on back, and this is shocking to me, that the trucks in your 19th, 20th positions are the ones putting up the really fast laps. I really would have thought it would have been the guy up front putting the fast laps up.
Yeah, now Ship's only 16th, though. There's 2 Ships, Brian and Bobby Ship, but the 48 of Brian Ship is actually 16th, and he's only a few seconds back from this pack, so you never know. There he is in that blue truck all the way on the outside and swinging to the inside there. I think that was him. I don't know if that's going to be another fastest lap for him this time, but we shall see. We don't see the little indicator coming this time. But yeah, that's one of those things. He could be a factor once again. Another driver that's not always a top 5, sometimes not even a top 10 contender, going to be right in the mix of this when we get down to the end. And we have a yellow.
Yellow's out, and that's going to make for a 4-lap dash, and it's going to stack this field right back up again. I know there's some guys possibly caught 1 or 2 laps down. If the leader decides to pit and everybody stays out, and some guys get their laps back, this is going to be a 30-car dash to the end of this race. And I think, in saying that, our 3-wide prediction is going to come true now.
Yeah, it almost certainly is. So we're going to see what happens here. We're going to catch our breath here just for a moment, and I think that all of them are catching their breath as well here for just a couple minutes before it goes pretty. It's gonna be crunch time when we go back to green, as Brent Roy is going to have a hungry pack of racers along his side and on his tail. So right now, like you said, I think we're going to have about 30 trucks on the lead lap still. So 30th place, if you're 30th place and the field wads up, you can have a chance at this. So Brent Roy deciding to race the pace truck here for a moment. But I'm sure we'll get things sorted out here. Probably will go another lap under yellow. There's drivers, like we said, where there's drivers that we haven't talked about pretty much at all that could be in the hunt here. One of them, Austin Belke. I talked about him last week in the 24. He's way back in about 27th, 28th spot, but he's on the lead lap. So he does that, it seems like, pretty often here. We did it last week in the duels, and also here at Daytona in the past, where he's kind of hung back and then is a factor. So we'll see if that happens again. It certainly could. He's going to be one of the last trucks on the lead lap, and yeah, we're
part of a very solid team, though, between Kenny Kibbe and Sal and Daddio, all guys that have been running up front. So with those guys as a teammate, I don't count them out.
No, and Kibbe's got Kibbe and Belke both are Michigan drivers in the field, and we got Brent Roy in the room with us now. And Ashton, why don't you ask him how things are going?
Well, Brent, the strategy really paid off. the pit strategies kind of got all confused with that yellow coming out when it did. You're back up front. What are you feeling? What's the strategy with 5 to go?
Strategy is not die. So we're really good at leading these things at the white and then not being able to get back around or getting tagged and spun around. There's been, I run out of fingers and toes to count how many of these plate races that I've been spun out on the white flag laps. So if we just finished without the panels being wrecked, I'm pretty happy.
You got teammates around you. You got teammates further back in the field. Is there any communication with them trying to maybe get you to stay up front without taking the panels off?
Yeah, absolutely. We got some 229 Autosport teammates here floating around, so we'll see what we can do to work together to keep us all up front and get a good finish for everybody here. So, it's kind of one of those things. Once the white flag flies, all bets are off. I don't know if I'd want to be the leader at that point, but it is what it is. We'll see how it goes.
Well, you're up there now, so we can't change that, sadly. It looks like a good truck. It looks like a fast truck. Like I said, you got some friends around you, so good luck. Keep the panels on it, and hopefully we're talking to you after this race.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll hopefully see you at the end of it.
All right. Good luck. So there you go. I'd be terrified if I was in his position right now. Like you said, there's a angry pack of trucks behind him that want his position.
Yeah, for sure. This is one pretty much just like in the real racing Daytona. It's pretty much the Super Bowl of NEP racing as well. So who doesn't want to win at Daytona? So it's going to be frantic when we get back going, and we're actually going to have a 3-lap dash to the finish, not counting whether we get any kind of green-white checkers. And maybe that's why we did have everyone kind of playing it safe as well. With coming into the pits, I think everyone is pretty much set to go at this point. But, when we get a caution this late in the race, it could certainly set up some future green-white checker finishes.
I want to break the ice here, but the two guys on the front row have not won at Daytona.
Well, there you go. And that's kind of shocking to Kenny Gibby, who has he's won a championship. He's won many iRacing leagues. He may have won in some other leagues at Daytona. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes,
but not in NEP. That is kind of surprising, actually. So we'll just, if he ends up in Victory Lane, we'll definitely have to ask him about that.
And like I said, the two guys on the front row, lights are off. We are coming to green. They're rolling into the Conway Customs restart zone. The strategy's out the door. This is just about putting your foot down and hoping everything works out in your favor. But we could see another first-time winner at Daytona in the NEP series, and we could see a repeat winner for the first time. So some very interesting things about to happen, and we're about to go green as Brent Roy gets a great jump on the restart, and we are 3 to go.
3 to go, and we have, are we going to go 3 wide here? Brent Roy, definitely with the great start.
No.
He gets turned. We got John Peters in the 09. Kenny Kibbe, we just talked about him, going for his first NEP Daytona win, and we have a big, big mess.
Brent Roy said it. He said it usually gets to the white flag. But on the restart, just all the pushing going on. We'll get to the U-House Racing Designs replay. Aaron, talk us through that one.
Oh, that's going to be tough. But John Peters, I don't know if it kind of looked like from that vantage point, the initial vantage point, there was contact. There it is. Just a little bump right there from the 09, sent the 26 around. I don't know if Peters was anticipating him to be a little quicker going in towards turn 1 or what. But
was it a missed shift?
I don't know. It was definitely, I don't know if it was a missed shift because Brent Roy got off to a great restart there. So I don't know if that's very
It almost
unusual.
looked like Brent Roy really slows up.
Yeah, because it is very uncharacteristic for someone like John Peters to just obviously turn someone with that much experience, especially in this series. So a very interesting altercation right there.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we see if we get a chance to talk to Brent Roy after this race down in the pit area when I go for a walk. I wouldn't be surprised to hear of a possible miss shift. Horrible luck for Brent Roy. What a great race he was having up front, and the strategy played out perfectly for him. So a lot of trucks got some damage in that one, and with 3 to go, that could play a factor. I don't know how much damage Peters got on that one. Like you said, it wasn't much of a bump. It was just enough to turn Brett hard to the right, and I'm hoping there's not too much damage on Peters' nose. He is one of the ones that has won here before with the NEP series. He would be our first repeat winner in the last 12 races here. But that shocked me. I thought we were going to go all the way to the white before we got the big one.
Yeah, that was definitely a bit surprising. It does look like there's just a tiny bit of damage there on the 09, the front nose of it, just a little bit. We're going to have to see how this field sorts out when we reset the field. It looks like Jeff Brown, I think he's getting ready to come down pit road or maybe get out of the way of these leaders. We did see, I think that was Jeff Bradway getting back on the lead lap. But yeah, it looks like Peters is going to continue out front right now. When we do go back to green, it'll be Ryan Libby second. Johnny Miller running in third, having a great run. Evan Boyer, don't count him out, in the 56 in fourth. And then I think that's Jason Ricker in fifth.
So I believe we went from a front row of not winners in the last 12 to a front row of 2 winners in the last 12 in not even a lap. If you look at the lap counter.
Yeah, and think about it too. We were talking about earlier on. We're talking about the importance of points, and now you go from Kenny Kibbe to Brent Roy. Those drivers just being in the driver's seat with having an amazing start to the season points wise. To now they're probably going to have to play a big amount of catch up, especially with this field that we have this season for the opener at Daytona. We had, I think we started with 36 or 34, it seems. So, wow, when you're free, and we had 28 still on the lead lap at the time, looks like we are going to double up to go back to racing here momentarily. We're going to have a green-white checker finish. Jeff Brown goes back and kind of does the wave around to get back. I don't know if he's back on the lead lap or back to 1 lap down. But right now, it's going to be John Peters and Ryan Libby doubling up, and we've seen them up front pretty much most of this race. We'll see if they can finish it off and get the big Daytona victory.
Yeah, and that's two drivers that I've heard, I've talked about in other series, veteran drivers. That's those two are going to be hard to beat as long as they can keep the panels on it, as Brent Roy said.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of drivers on this lead lap right now. I think we're down to about maybe only 24 or 25 at this point. But a lot of drivers we haven't talked about where when all the dust settles, we could see them potentially in the top 10. Like right now in the 20s somewhere is Adam Henry. And I think this is his first Daytona start, maybe his second. But if things happen once again on this next green-white checker attempt or first green-white checker attempt, someone like him, Jared Adams, rookie Garrett Benson, haven't talked about them this whole race, and they could be right there with a solid finish. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens once we go back to racing here. We only got a couple more corners, and we'll be doing that here momentarily.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just shooting Brent Roy a message to see if he's out of the truck and willing to answer or not yet. But I believe he's still in the truck. I believe they're trying to get whatever work they can done to it so he can at least try and tag onto the tail end of the field here. I believe what he was saying is he shifted from third to second. So it was a misshift.
Wow.
So whether the truck... Yeah, whether the truck was going to get wrecked or whether he was going to blow a transmission, one of the two was going to happen. We're back under green, 3 to go, barreling down into turn 1, and I think we're going to get through it this time. So we're going to get through turn 1 and 2, and this race is going to try and go to the end now, caution free.
Yeah, John Peters is going to be hard to beat here, but here comes that outside line again, though. Ryan Libby going to try to get a push, and you know what they're going to try to do. If Libby gets enough of a push, he's probably going to switch to this inside line. There he goes, right in front of John Peters.
Yeah, very well done.
And, well, the things are getting pretty close once again here, but now we'll see if someone can push Evan Boyer to do the same. A win here at Daytona for Boyer would be huge, as it would for Libby. As they're going to come around for the white flag, it's going to be Boyer leading at the line, it looks like.
And a great push by the guys behind him. He does the same thing, gets up from front, just gets to go clear from his spotter. 2 to go. They're making moves, very aggressive moves on this final lap. Sorry, we are final lap. And they're making the aggressive moves early on. Usually you start seeing that down this backstretch. Let's see who can get the push. There's that third lane, top lane created. We are 3 wide, down the backstretch into 3, and we are coming to the checkered. Aaron, take this away.
Yeah, Stephen Daddio and Arsal moving to that middle lane, and now it turns into the outside lane. We'll see if they can get a push. Arsal, the lone Floridian in the field, pushing Stephen Daddio. It's going to be between Boyer and Daddio, it looks like. The 56 and the 99, and by a hair, it's going to be Evan Boyer taking the victory. He goes for a spin after the checkered flag, almost catches some air there, and Evan Boyer is going to take the victory in that Hancock Lumber Nitro Designs number 56 as the fireworks go off behind him.
Very well done. We have a repeat winner for the first time in 12 races. Congratulations to Evan Boyer. A great race by everybody. Really cool to see Daddio, Libby, Boyer getting a shot after the checker just as a congratulations. Salvatore, Peters, US, Miller, Casagrande, Rickers, and Farrell. What an amazing top 10.
Yeah, and I think this is Boyer, even though it's a repeat winner at Daytona, I think this is his first main event win at Daytona, official race win. So I think he's pulled off a duel in the past. So I'll catch up with Evan here quick. Evan, wow, what a finish. Take us through those last couple laps. It seemed like being the one getting pushed and being on that outside line worked out for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That sometimes better to be lucky than good, and we lucked into that one. I think we're just in the right lane at the right time. Earlier in the race, Brent, when I had the lead on that first restart, and Brent restarted 4th, and I just remembered how he was able to get to the lead there, and but Libby blocked it quick, so I couldn't quite pull the same move, and I was able to get a good push from Daddio on the outside, and we all worked really well together, all of 229 Autosport, to keep us all up at the front once we were up there, and great team effort to make sure a few of us were in, and at the end, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, and I know after a somewhat disappointing end to the real racing season, I mean, this has to help just a little bit with a win here at Virtual Daytona. I think you've won here at Daytona, but your first official main event win here at Daytona, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're usually pretty much checkers or wreckers in these races. I was totally prepared to be disappointed coming to the white flag and wrecking tonight. So to finally pull off a win, we've been in position many times, and the real racing season, it ended how it ended, and just happy to be back with a bunch of friends here, doing this every weekend. Every week. This keeps me occupied during the wintertime. Get your mind off of the real racing for a little bit. I mean, Corey and I were we were joking at Lee that, the real racing starts now. So, this is pretty competitive, and we have a ton of fun doing it. I can't thank, the moderators and the admins of NEP enough for doing this.
Yeah, and it's a good points day as well. I think last season you kind of had to start off a little bit kind of behind the 8 ball, so I'm sure that helps a little bit too, coming out right away with a win.
I'm pretty sure we wrecked in this race last year. That's why I said I was fully prepared to be wrecked at the end of it. So, started out in the hole and see what we could do for the whole year. These guys are really competitive, and everybody in this series, has gotten really good at what we're doing. The trucks, they're going to change it up a little bit, but we'll see how the rest of the season goes, and I'm just really glad to open it up with a win.
And so who else? Who helps you get to the track, both the real track and the virtual track, to get the victory?
Yeah, I got to thank all the guys at 229 Autosport. Man, we had a good strategy tonight. Everybody worked really well together. I hate to see that happen to Brent. That really sucked to see. But the rest of the team did an awesome job, and really proud of the effort. And got to thank obviously my family, my wife. She lets me do this every Thursday night, and my daughter, my mom, dad watching. Hi, mom, dad. Hancock Lumber, Brett Davis Real Estate, Nitro Designs. We got a lot of great partners on our race car every year, and really looking forward to representing them well during the off season here.
All right, that's your winner, Evan Boyer. And Ashton, who do you have with us right now?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I caught up with Taddeo down here. Steve, what a race! You guys were all working really well up front together. It was anybody's race all the way to the end. What did you need to get that? Those extra few inches to get that win.
Honestly, the whole race, that was a lot of fun. I feel like these speedway races always come down to that those final few laps. And I had my teammate behind me there, Arcel. Man, he was pushing like crazy. I actually just had to go back and watch the replay there. It looked like that third line started to form, and it just didn't have the momentum that we usually have when we're running in line there at the end. I was where I wanted to be. I had the guy I wanted to push me, but he just didn't have the guy or the mo that we needed on the outside to really get it done at the end. But that's a hell of a race, starting 18th and just surviving to the end. There was a bit of fuel strategy there. It's hard to complain. P2 at Daytona. Congrats to Evan. That was a hell of a run.
We talked about it quite a few times on the stream or on the broadcast here. We were talking about the strategies, about the fuel, that first yellow that came out, 20-something laps in. Was there ever talk about trying to make it to the end without having to make that in the last pit stop?
Absolutely. We had chatted about that originally, but we kind of weighed the pros and cons, and you just need to go fast in that situation. We watched the 229 guys all pit in front of us, and we were watching lap times live, and we were losing 3/10 on our fastest laps, and we're like, well, maybe we pit a little earlier than what we originally wanted to go. It turned out actually to be the right call, because if we stretched it anymore, we would have lost lap time. But there was really no need. You can only fit like 9 gallons of gas into the can, and we were like, all right, let's fill it up and let's go for it. And that ended up being the right call. So again, thanks to my 4 wide weaponry teammates. They're always thinking, always strategizing, and we excel in that part of it, just having the right strategy. So yeah, just go for it on that. After that yellow flag was really the right play.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys all did amazing. The strategies were all over the board. You guys kept us on our toes up here. I'm sure you guys were sweating in the trucks. Who helps you get here? Real life, IRL, all that kind of stuff. And who helps you out?
Yeah, it's cool to have Daddy's Auto Parts on the hood this year. Last year we had Reverie. Those guys. Having my dad and having my buddy on the truck, it's so cool. They get to watch every Thursday night, and we get to talk about it afterwards. YRD for the sick paint scheme. I personally think the truck is the best looking truck on the track, and Brandon always takes care of me. Always does a really, really good job. But I got to thank those guys for everything that they do. I really appreciate all the support. It's great running up front and getting them some screen time, and having them get to celebrate as well. As much fun as I have behind the wheel, I really appreciate talking to them after the race. So shout out to them, and my teammates at 4 wide. Again, thanks for everything, guys. You guys get me where I am every week, and you guys up in the booth. The broadcast are always great. I really appreciate VidaneTV covering this. You guys do a great job. It's always exciting to watch the broadcast afterwards. So thanks a lot, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Don't have too many of those drinks from the brewery. I'm sure we all got to go to work tomorrow, but enjoy it. Great race. Can't wait to be back and see you on the front stretch again.
Appreciate it. Can't make any promises on those beers, though.
All right, Aaron, I think you have caught up with our third place finisher Ryan Libby.
Yeah, rounding out the podium for this race, the number 46. And Ryan, in past seasons, we've seen you have your ups and downs, and you were right there with it, almost getting the victory here at Daytona. But third place, pretty respectable for sure.
Absolutely. Really don't have a great history here at Daytona. I tend to lead a lot of laps, tend to be up front, but sometimes I tend to be up on the wreck or on a flatbed by the end of these. And as the race was going on, playing out with fuel strategy, like what everyone was saying, I was kind of planning my moves and telling myself I want to be first, second, third, or fourth. That's it. If I'm not first, second, third, or fourth, I'm going to the back because I kind of knew you're going to be in a hornet's nest pretty soon. And I just kind of played some fuel strategy out and pretty much just kind of kept up in the top 3 and 4 all night. And it just kind of really worked out. I just wanted to keep my nose clean and push the right guys and playing your moves. And here we are. I really can't complain with a top 3. I wanted to finish the race. That was my big. I don't care if I finished 10th, 12th, 15th. I just wanted to cross the start finish line here tonight, and finishing third really, really helps that.
Yeah, it seemed like the strategy really worked out there, and it did get a bit hairy there going down the stretch. But kind of talk about that, and then also just with the third place finish, starting off the season on a high note, and how that momentum will work going into the next few races.
Yeah, personally, 2024 has been pretty rough on me in my personal life, and now that it's time for iRacing season, I usually call it, because in the summertime I really don't have any time to do this. But now that it's iRacing season, I kind of just have a new outlook on life, and don't let a lot of stuff bother me anymore. And I figure this is my go-to for having fun. And by earning outside pole and then getting the dual win last week, finishing top 3 here, to me it's a great start. And I just want to keep the momentum going, and hopefully we can do that.
Yeah, and with this season, you've got some new sponsors and decals on that truck. So kind of run us through who you got supporting you and who gets you to the racetrack.
Yeah, first of all, actually, I want to congratulate Evan. That was a great race. Battling with those guys, 229. I always enjoy racing with these guys. We race each other really hard, really clean, but it's always a blast running with these guys. So again, congratulations to Steve and Evan. And I got to thank Chalu Performance, High Performance Lubricants, North End Auto Parts, YRD Designs for the awesome paint scheme. And hopefully my lovely girlfriend is watching. If not, hello. But other than that, that's about it. And, I'm sorry. The most important people in the room, VidaneTV. You guys do a great job. Always love watching the broadcast at the very end. So thanks a lot, guys.
No problem. You're welcome. And Ryan Libby finishing in third spot. I'm sure we'll hear from him a good bit more throughout the season. And Ashton, what did you think about this kicking off the season here at Daytona with the NEP series?
I mean, a lot of people, you hear them say about the big tracks is a lot of patience, and it makes for a long race. But 60 laps went by so quickly. There wasn't a dull moment from the start of the green all the way to the checkered. These guys put on a hell of a show. They do every time they're on the track, whether it's in a car or a truck. They're clean. They're fun to watch. Mistakes happen. I feel really bad for Brent Roy. He had one hell of a race. A good friend of mine missed a shift, caught up in it. I also saw that the other fellow Canadian was also caught up in something at the end there. But all in all, this was an amazing race. Aaron, first time announcing with you. What a pleasure. Thank you for carrying the show and letting me kind of back you up a little bit here. VidaneTV, Paul, thank you for inviting me to do these things and enjoy the night. I can't wait to be back as long as I'm invited back to the truck. And yeah, this is a blast. I absolutely love it, and that race was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and we're headed to the Rock in 2 weeks. The Rockingham Speedway, I think, is the next race. So that'll be interesting. Kind of the old school NASCAR feel where they used to go there right after Daytona. So we'll kind of pack things up here and send it back to Paul. Kind of give us what's coming up on VidaneTV and wrap things up.
Yeah, we are in fact off next Thursday night with the NEP Super Truck Series with the Halloween. We can call it that because that's what it is, and that's good news because this guy's going to be dressed up as Jelly Roll on Broadway in Nashville, working the ASA race throughout the week here. So lots of cool stuff going on. I got to get off this out of this production truck and into the bed. I've been up since midnight. Lots of travel here coming up in the next 2-3 weeks for old showtime here. If you got nothing going on, even if you do have something going on tomorrow and Saturday, be sure to shoot on over to uslegendcar.tv and check out the NX Asphalt Nationals here at Dominion Speedway. I'm actually in a hotel about 10 minutes from the track, heading on down there with the US Legends TV crew tomorrow to put on one heck of a show. Going to watch some Legends car drivers win some championships. They've got over 150 registered Legends cars for the event this weekend. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to shoot on over to Vidane.tv. New website still under construction, but you can kind of take a sneak peek and see what we've got going on. And we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Like I said, we are off next Thursday with the NEP series, but there is no such thing as a day off. Going to keep on grinding, keep burning that midnight oil, and we will catch you here on VidaneTV. And when we do,
Doing it live.
yeah, there you go, Ashton. Nailed it. We'll catch you in 2 weeks right here on VidaneTV.